perhaps this is the first time that you see one state, which is Israel, which is bombing a second state, which is Lebanon, because the third state, which is the United States, is preventing it from bombing a fourth state, which is Iran.
Yeah.
So how does anybody mediate or find good faith in these conditions? For anybody to get into it would be a huge risk.
The ceasefire or the absence of the ceasefire. Strategically, let's go point by point. Pakistan's intervention. Does it show them as a world player, or it does the opposite, that there are these paploos that can be put in any convenient situation by a more powerful country?
Now, that being said, I don't think the Pakistanis have any sort of special leverage when it comes to Iran at all. Which is why the moment Pakistan was sort of officially brought on board, the first thing that they did was travel to Beijing.
Yeah, and meet China. Yeah.
Absolutely, because at the end of the day, it is China that has leverage. So what Pakistan today really is the geographic site for these negotiations, while also being a very trusted American ally, but more importantly, an ally of Donald Trump.
For me, I just think China and Pakistan coming together to do this should just get us more alarmed, and should at least we need to reevaluate what we're doing, rethink what we're doing in terms of our goal of isolating Pakistan for terror attacks on us, and what does this mean for Kashmir for Pakistan to be emboldened to make Kashmir again an international issue?
Is actually the best thing to have happened, because we should just sit tight. Because with a person like Trump there and the way things are playing, and Bibi on a war path, I really have no idea what his end game is.
And the Khwaja Asif tweet, like even the Pakistanis are a bit...
Which is a shot in the foot for some reason.
Is that his tweet?
Yeah.
So, but the fact that India is invisible right now, like that meme of Homer Simpson backing into the bushes, is actually a good thing. Do you think that's a defendable position? Violence that's broken out because suddenly it gets reported in the media, because I was speaking with another journalist friend who had come and had lunch with us a couple of weeks ago. And he'd said, dude, Manipur is, you may not hear about it, but things are not great. And anytime things will keep happening, there's no fix as of now.
The first question is like, what the hell are security forces doing? Like, the buffer zone is not an official term. It's not in official parlance that you're calling it. It's not as my friend said, Manipur is a state of human beings. It's not a wildlife sanctuary that it has a buffer zone and a core zone. Manipur has not limped. It is not limping back to normalcy, because everything that is as a prerequisite for normalcy does not exist. Free movement of people is not even a reality. The MLAs have not visited Vidhan Sabha, like Manipur Vidhan Sabha, in 3 years. Where is the normalcy?
In fact, similar criticism about Kashmir, right? That absence of violence is not normalcy. I'm guessing the nature of violence has changed. It's more, smaller groups rather than, guerrilla warfare across the state. What did that really mean, this returning those? And was there any action taken against people? Because how do you justify this? I'm thinking purely from rule of law point of view. अंग्रेज अपना लगान और न्यूज लॉन्ड्री अपना हफ्ता कभी नहीं छोड़ते. Welcome to another episode of Hafta. We're recording this on Friday, 10th of April at 11 in the morning from a Delhi which is surprisingly, although apparently it is still triple digits, 100, it did go down to double digits, 90 something, AQI, but such a clean April I haven't seen in my living memory. We had a few storms, and it was the coolest April day in the last 11 years. So welcome to Shimla, Mussoorie, hill station of your choice. So we're getting the hill station feels, at least for now, although apparently there's a terrible summer waiting for us. Meanwhile, before we get into the headlines, I would just like to remind all our viewers, listeners, readers, patrons, subscribers, even non-subscribers, that there are 4 states and 1 union territory that is going into election. In fact, that is not going into, that has already gone into election. In fact, we'll talk about the record numbers that some of the places have seen. We have reporters across these places. Vasu has already been and come back. The rest of our reporters are en route there or back. Pooja and Harita are also Suhasini, yes.
In West Bengal.
So all this is only possible because you contribute. So there's a QR code. Do subscribe or at least contribute to our election Sena fund, because we do not depend on advertisers or any other funding sources to cover elections, our journalism, and other activities, so that we are accountable to you and you alone. Pay to keep news free. Help our teams have the resources to do news, election, and journalism. Thank you so much. With that, let me introduce the panel. In the studio today, we have Manisha Pande,
Hi.
our editorial director. We have Anand Vardhan, our
Hello.
consulting editor and also Chief Justice in the making. Joining us is our guest today, Bashir Ai Abbas. Welcome, Bashir.
But are you really a defense expert if you're not on Times Now and Republic?
Yeah, that's true. That's
Can
true.
we really trust?
That's true. I mean,
I had a different question. Are you really defense expert if you wear a kurta pajama and not a
no,
commando jacket?
this is actually a recent phenomenon because again, as you said, April is very cold. I didn't anticipate that, but my shopping before the summer prepared for like a very hot summer. But I think again, as you said, the summer that's coming to hit us now is going to be. Even
Do you
hotter.
normally wear army fatigues and a commando jacket?
No,
you
no,
don't do that.
not like Major. I don't want to name him.
Okay, fine. So let's get the headlines and then we'll get into just too many things that are happening across the
Yeah.
world.
Across March, the US has been reaching out to whichever mediator that it thinks will be effective in coercing Iran to come back to the table.
Or giving
And
them
it's
an
important-
exit.
Yeah, giving the US an exit.
Hmm.
If you, nobody can say what goes on in Trump's mind, but
Hmm.
in Trump's mind, the US was ready to exit on day one, which is Feb 28th, after Ayatollah Khamenei was killed. Now, it's very clear that the traditional mediators, which between the US and Iran is usually Oman, which has that rich institutional memory and experience of mediating between these actors. A lot of these states were sort of not able to convince Iran to give the United States an off-ramp because why should Iran give them an off-ramp?
Hmm.
This was very, very evident in how every Iranian leader was speaking, no matter who it was, a reformist, a hardliner, it doesn't matter. So ultimately, again, we know that the Trump White House is very personality driven. It's also clear that Asim Munir and Donald Trump have begun sharing a very special relationship, especially since last June.
Mhm.
A lot of it also has to do with how the Pakistani state has sold Pakistan's performance against India during the conflict last May and sort of impressed upon Trump Pakistan's growing clout. But most recently, I think you would have seen this report in Bloomberg especially, which talks about this individual called
Yeah.
Bilal bin Saqib.
The crypto billionaire.
The crypto billionaire, yes, the crypto bro. He calls it diplomacy, which is short for Bitcoin diplomacy. But again, these terms are not important. But the point is, he has a very close relationship with Zachary Witkoff, who's Steve Witkoff's son. And a crucial point here is, at the end of the day, amidst all of the noise, I don't think anybody should ever underestimate Trump's lust to make money.
You think Pakistan comes out looking as a convenient puppet in the world, that if anybody wants a paplu, you can use Pakistan, or does it make them actually look like a world player?
1 year on from Operation Sindoor, where we had declared that we had isolated Pakistan globally, that we have made them irrelevant in the Gulf countries. Modi's diplomacy with UAE, Qatar, Saudi Arabia has completely sidelined Pakistan, and they're isolated. With all those things that we saw with MPs, Shashi Tharoor singing abroad, all our MPs lambasting Pakistan. 1 year on, and Operation Sindoor, remember, China and Pakistan fought it together against us. Our jets were downed by Chinese missiles. 1 year on, you have China and Pakistan coming together as mediator and guarantor to pull this ceasefire off, which is, I mean, it is what the world wanted. Everyone is thanking them, whether we like it or not. So from India's position, even if we are not to say that why, I mean, I'm not going to say why wasn't India mediating or not, but you have this China-Pakistan axis that has not only 1 year ago given you trouble actively in war, but diplomatically, they have completely shrunk your space. So this whole thing for India, that we are isolating Pakistan, where is that today? They are nowhere close to any isolation. All the countries have thanked them. Their relations with Saudi, they've signed a defense deal with them a year ago. So for me, I think for whatever failed country it may be, it's pulled off something quite remarkable, and should be a worry for India, and there should be a real wake-up call for us.
This is hard realpolitik. Forget all moral abstractions. If Iran is the country that has proven leverage over that strait, then that realization should have seeped in early.
It's in our interest.
That, yes,
to have
absolutely.
access to
That
that strait.
if even the layman on the street, I was writing this, everybody was writing this, that the US had no achievable military objectives. Even if the US does launch a war, it's not going to win it. That's where we are today. But
Which is
the
also what
long-term-
Trump's advisors told him when BB convinced him otherwise.
Absolutely. Not just Vance. It seems like many figures in the US administration. So if we know that, then we need to think more about putting more eggs in the Iranian basket. Not all of our eggs, obviously. But that's what strategic autonomy will really mean at the end of the day. It's not about you going and mediating other people's disputes and conflicts. It's about you guardrailing all of your bilateral relationships. And it's not a good look. I know the Ministry of Energy and Petroleum will always justify it based on our national interest. But if we buy Iranian oil for the first time in 7 years, only during the time when the US has offered a window, then it shows us that the agency or the locus of that decision is not really here.
I think to ferment, like US has been fermenting trouble everywhere in the world. That if they see, this is a faction that is against the whoever's the actor acting on behalf of the government of the country in government, push back against them. I think if a bunch of NATO countries, European countries, decide to use that against America, America is the most fertile ground for that. You will get the insurrectionists from the other side. No one's trying it. But if you're watching, maybe separate the people of America from Trump and you may get regime change there.
But more importantly, they got manifest harm. Because before Washington launched this nonsensical war on Iran, what was proven to the Arab states is that they had no agency in Washington's decision making anymore. It's only Israel that matters, right? So if you have these wealthy states who couldn't at all influence a core part of US decision making of US foreign policy in their region, then what Pakistan will get in the long term by being a mediator of any sort is really not something that we can predict or speculate. I don't think even the Pakistanis know what they can get. Because in this case, remember February 28th, just a few hours before the first US missiles hit Iran, the Omani foreign minister came out and did something he had never done before, which is to come out and give every single point about the deal that was on the table, that he said the Iranians conceded. When Saeed Khatibzadeh was here in Delhi, he told us and everybody else the same thing, that the Iranians had conceded on everything, which means that Oman was a good mediator. Trump is not looking for good mediators, right? The problem here is not whether Pakistan is good or bad or what its intentions are. The problem is that Pakistan is a very inexperienced mediator when it comes to a conflict of this sort.
2 protesters were shot dead after a mob allegedly stormed a Central Reserve Police Force camp in Bishnupur, Manipur. The incident came hours after suspected Kuki militants killed 2 children in the district. Amid escalating violence, the Manipur government suspended internet services, including mobile data, in 5 districts for 3 days. Just imagine, we had done the story about 3 years ago on education. If there's one Imphal university in the whole state and there's an entire population that cannot go back to their class, what does it do to them?
We spoke to the students.
Yeah, we did a whole student thing. So imagine the impact on education, economy, to hai, but just healthcare, just to be just tangled in one place and not move for both.
Karma had done this editorial also for us. Like we had done an editorial and he said imagine somebody who was 12 in 2019. Let's say somebody born in 2017 will now be 18, 19 years old, right? Think of it. Somebody who was born after 2005, the past 6 years, they've had COVID about 2 years. And then there was that 2021 COVID gets over and 2022 is the only year of so-called normalcy that Manipur sees, and 2023 onwards, schools are again closed there for extended periods. In the last 6 years, 5 years of those, imagine somebody who was in class 6 or 7 in 2019-20, they finished school without any semblance of
what a
normalcy.
bizarre existence. You think about it, man.
What hope do the youth have?
As I said, this idea of normalcy is very tiring because a lot of people are so hell-bent on trying to show that the fact that nobody is killing each other in Imphal is a sign of normalcy. Are you kidding me? They were not killing each other in Imphal after a week of violence because anybody who was not of the right community, so to speak, had left.
So there was,
Churachandpur has been silent. For example, Churachandpur has been absolutely, if I have to use the word, peaceful. it's been peaceful, more or less.
Because there's no one there to fight each other.
Exactly. So this, what does normalcy look like when you're not even, I mean, just think of it. Where do you see this? That the person who is being sworn in as a deputy CM is doing it online because she does not think it's safe to go to Imphal. The state of which she is the deputy CM, and that person does not feel safe enough to be in the state that she is ruling. Nemcha Kipchen had to do her, swearing in ceremony online. This is
Wow.
not COVID. Yumnam Khemchand Singh, he has come to power with one very clear thing in mind. Next year is elections. Because BJP, that you have to give credit. Kuch bhi ho jaye, elections is elections. You remember that picture of JP Nadda and Yogi Adityanath and Modi ji coming down at the airport in UP during the peak of COVID, because they had elections next year, so they had to sit down and have the meeting. So that party with Khemchand, and Khemchand is a RSS stalwart, and the other person in the party who's a very senior leader, Govindas Kanthauja, he's also an RSS stalwart, and what a surprise, he became Congress president and then jumped ship, because that's how it works in BJP. The best way to become a big BJP leader is to become big in Congress.
First become a big Congress teacher.
Yeah, so
I think just as a something for our subscribers to maybe get back to us, 2 reporting projects we really want to do. One in Chhattisgarh, given all the wins that we've had against Naxalism, all the drastic changes that reporters tell me are happening there, and Manipur. I do feel that we need to spend 20 days or 25 days really look at what's happening there when everyone is turned away from it, because it sounds really surreal. So maybe 2 NL Sena projects we want, because these will be long. There's no way to do it cheaply. We'll have to send at least 3 people to go there, producer, 2 reporters at least. These are big states.
And for safety
have them
also.
stay.
Yeah,
you can't
send them
go
alone,
in and come out of Manipur.
I mean, you can
So,
also
yeah.
just help us acquire another 1,000-1,500 subscribers. The QR code is there, link is there. Just help us do more in-depth reporting, because in the age of social media, like, there's so much happening all at the same time. There's no incentive or financial reward, which is inevitably how any organization ends up working, to do in-depth journalism when it's based on clicks, eyeballs, ad traffic. So do scan the QR code, click on the link, help us do real in-depth time-consuming ground reports.
बस मुफ्त में इतना ही मिलेगा. For the full uncut podcast, subscribe to News Laundry and pay to keep news free. The best way to listen to the Hafta and indeed all our podcasts is through the News Laundry app. You can download the app by clicking on the links given in the show notes. So do download our app and get the best podcast experience. And also pay for news and support a new news media ecosystem that News Laundry is trying to encourage, where we are accountable to you because we run on contributions that you make. We don't take government ads, we don't take corporations ads, so that news serves the public, because when the public pays, the public is served. Subscribe to News Laundry, click on the link in the show notes below and proudly say, I pay to keep news free.